Working for you, good afternoon.
Greetings, my beloved brothers.
Greetings.
Greetings to you.
Brother Brantley, how are you, my brother and brother Williams?
Very well, thank you.
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, let me say that I've known the brother culture. Now, Brother Brantley, you are the foreign minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And what we have now in Nigeria, with Nigeria such a unstable country, we have religious fanaticism and all kind of religious nonsense, Boko Haram and Christians against Muslims, Muslims against Christians. I would like to see the government, this administration, because government is continuous, move whatsoever we have in Nigeria, put it in, set up an embassy in Ghana, which is a progressive, very developing countries, and I don't know if you know, a lot of quote-unquote African Americans are moving to Ghana in jobs, a lot, and you could go on the internet and even do that research for yourself if you don't believe me. And I would like to see an embassy set up in Ethiopia, and that could be for East Africa, and one in South Africa, the Republic of South Africa for Southern Africa. But we must take that, what we have in Nigeria right now, and put it in Ghana, my beloved brother. Ghana is so progressive, peaceful. Oh, brother, you must check it out, and I hope you take this. And many times the Prime Minister is on, I get my ear, the Prime Minister listen to me, I will, these same sentiments, I will tell him them. So I'm just looking, because if we are African people, about 98% of the population of St. Kitts and Nevis is African people. And we must develop closer ties with our brothers and sisters on the African continent, student exchange and different things on the African continent. Because if we could develop all kind of little country relationship with all kind of unknown countries in Asia and Europe and other parts of the planet, why not with our brothers and sisters on the African continent? That's all I have to say, brother, and I hope you take this into consideration.
Thank you,
and do some real research on, Ghana, man. We need an embassy in Ghana for West Africa, brother. Thank you, my beloved brother. Great job, man.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the advice. We are trying to deepen our relations in Africa. We have just sought to establish diplomatic relations with Senegal, for example. We are discussing jointly with CARICOM representation in South Africa. And I agree that we must look carefully at our arrangements. I would like to point out, however, that what we have in Nigeria is an honorary consul arrangement. So that means it comes at no cost to the taxpayer here. And so, Carl, I take on board what you're saying. The fortunes of countries will ebb and flow. And still, I think Nigeria is one of the most populous countries in Africa. And as a consequence of that, is an important center of power in West Africa, indeed in the whole of Africa. And so I would not disengage from them or say because they're having troubles that we ought not to have some presence there. I think, however, your point about Ghana, South Africa, and even Ethiopia, that those points are well made. These are things that we would look at, maybe not in the establishment, because as we have discussed prior, the cost is quite prohibitive. So maybe not in the establishment of full-fledged embassies, but rather through honorary consulates, we might be able to get representations in those areas.
I wanted to ask you about the CDC meeting. Could you tell us something about this? What is CDCC? Is it the Center for Dialogue and Cooperation Among Civilizations? Is that what it is?
I'm not sure are you talking about a meeting that is to happen here? Oh, the acronyms always slip me up, I must confess.
CDCC.
Yes, CDCC. I always refer to them as CDCC. It's an entity that we've just taken over the chair of. They're going to have a meeting here, I think, in March of this year. Maybe someone of the staff who's listening can call in and help me with what it means, because I confess that I get there's so many organizations, so many different acronyms that sometimes it's difficult for me to remember what order they mean. But this is a Caribbean-based organization. They're based in Trinidad, and they do a lot of work in the context of economic discussion. And that is what I expect. We will take over, as I said, this year, and we hope to have a session here to sort of launch the new chairmanship, if you will, of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I hope we're talking about the same organization, and the public will forgive me. But I've just had a birthday, so I attribute it to old age.
Now, while there's no caller, I want you to tell us a little bit about countries with which St. Kitts and Nevis is pursuing diplomatic relations.
Well, we are quite active. When I took over as Minister of Foreign Affairs, I was quite concerned, Leslie, that St. Kitts and Nevis, actually, there are several countries, particularly in Africa, that we have no relations with at all. And I don't understand why. And so we have, through the Commonwealth, when we attended the Commonwealth, made early introductions with various African countries and others, Mauritius, Seychelles, etc., Brunei, various countries. We are looking to see how we can expand our footprint. And so we have commenced discussions with Senegal, for example. They're quite keen to get involved with us in terms of diplomatic relations. And so we're definitely trying to expand in that regard. As I mentioned Russia, I mentioned Ukraine, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia. These are all countries that we're actively pursuing visa waiver arrangements with, and of course trying to deepen our diplomatic relations with. This is a changing world, and in this changing world, I think it behooves us to access as much as we can the partnerships that we can foster with other countries. And because you have a voice, the public out there might be wondering why you want to talk to Saudi Arabia or whoever, but because you have a voice internationally, and there are countries to which that voice is important. They want you to support them at the UN. They want you to support them in various forums. They want to have a member on the Security Council. These are all things that countries will engage us on. And so it now allows us an opportunity. I mean, I was quite heartened to see that Morocco, for example, had several scholarship opportunities available. Unfortunately, it wasn't advertised. And so we're now seeking to rekindle that relationship and to say to them, listen, we're now ready as a serious government for our children, our young people to access those. Taiwan continues, of course, to be of tremendous assistance. And while I'm Taiwan, let me now say to the public that we do not have visa-free access to Taiwan, one of our oldest allies. But it is a matter that we're discussing with the Taiwanese. And the Taiwanese have done something which I think is quite commendable. What the Taiwanese have now done is to say that rather than having to send documents and come to where you are now in the world. Once you log on, you go, you fill in your information, and you get your visa right away. So it's like a halfway between visa-free, but it makes life a lot easier. And the fact that they've extended the courtesy to us of making it free is demonstrative again of that quiet diplomacy that I've been talking about. The work that happens behind the scene. A lot of people think, oh, you're having lunch and you're having dinner and you're not doing anything. The reality is that is how diplomacy works. And a lot of times these meetings, you see pictures of people at meetings, it's the opportunity to engage in dialogue and build relationships. And those relationships are what we hope will bear fruit. And in the context of Taiwan, we see is already bearing fruit.
Minister, I'm going to ask you a very hard question. With the harmonious relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis as it presently is there any need for secession?
Secession is, I think, an important issue. That's why I think for the people of Nevis, it is an historical and deeply rooted issue. My answer on that, because it's not as hard a question as you might think, because I get asked it all along. I think ultimately it will be for the people of Nevis to decide. You said something which I think is instructive. You said the relationship at present is beautiful. Unity is here, there's harmony, there's harmonious relationship. Will that be the case in 10 years or 15 years? I don't know. And what we need to create in our country is a paradigm, a framework for nationhood, which doesn't depend on which parties are in power. So a serious framework, whether through constitutional reform or otherwise, which we say, listen, regardless of which party, the historical differences being what they are, the historical tensions being what they are, it behooves both islands to build a framework that will allow them to coexist, not just peacefully, but harmoniously, and to grow together. If that cannot be addressed, then I think the issue of secession will always loom large.
So do you think that the beginning is of that has taken place, for example, with the Charlestown Accord?
I think so. I think if the Charlestown Accord, which was designed to address historic and ongoing difficulties, if those of us who now occupy the seat of government take that document seriously, if the people of Nevis who have traditionally protested that they have not been treated fairly, if that mantra of fair share for all really resonates in Charlestown and in Craddock Road and in Ramsbury and in Brownhill, I think that is where, when you start to change minds and change hearts and change attitudes, and people genuinely feel that they have a role to play in their country, that whether you're born in Craddock Road or you're born in McKnight, it doesn't matter, that the place of your birth doesn't determine whether you can become an ambassador or, for that matter, whether you become prime minister. I think once our people start to believe that, then we could have this conversation.